So, man, we finally got you in front of the camera. The man, the myth, the legend. We got Kris KeyZ. Gonna be digging in deep, hopefully kind of get some people to understand the full story of how Kris KeyZ came about. And that's your real name, right?
Kris KeyZ, man, that's my name, man. I changed the N from an S to a Z on Keys.
Man, that's what it is. So I guess we probably just start there. I mean, how'd that come about?
Man, I got the name Kris KeyZ actually from I was in Houston playing at the Guitar Center, and the guy was like, "Man, you nice on them keys, man. What's your name?" I was like, "Chris." He was like, "Nah, your name Kris KeyZ," and it just all kind of stuck from there. So I was like, "All right." I didn't really think nothing of it because I was still playing sports at the time. But after I finished, kind of retired from that scene, I was like, "All right, let me go with Kris KeyZ. That's a live name. That's dope."
So I guess, how far back does this whole music thing go? Because I mean, we'll probably touch on the basketball, which I want to talk about for a little bit. But talking about the music, how far does this go back? 10?
Man, I started doing music when I was probably like 6, 5. My dad started teaching me. I grew up in the church, so I'm one of those church musicians. My dad was a pastor, so it was a little small church. He played the piano, a little basic chords, and stuff, and running back to the pulpit. So he was like, "Hey, you either gonna learn how to sing or you gonna learn how to play piano." So my sister, she took the singing, and I was like, "Man, I'm shy. I don't want to be up there." So I kind of started learning how to play the piano. So that's kind of where it started, man, playing the piano. So I did that. And, I was kind of leading all the church bands. We had the children's choir, the male chorus, the mass choir. This was back in the day when we had choirs. And now it's just praise and worship teams a lot. But, yeah, I was playing every Sunday, 10, 11, 12 years old. I think that was when I became a professional, started getting, a little compensation for it. So, about 11.
So you got paid at 10?
Man, it's crazy. Yeah, my dad is, he was a professional musician too. So I was playing and my dad, he was a pastor too. But it's all right, hold on. He actually had a meeting with the deacon board or the mother board, whatever, the people at the church, the decision makers, all right, my son's up here been playing for nothing for, last year or whatever, how much time. And it's man, he's come rehearsal, he's learning the songs. So he negotiated at the time. I think I was getting $75 a Sunday or something like that.
First deal, first record
got
deal.
My first deal, little teenager. But he told me, he was like, "All right, 12 years old, $75 a week playing." But he was like, "If you don't know the songs, I'm gonna charge you $125. So, you know what I mean? So it basically put the pressure on. It's "Hey man, you got a responsibility to learn these songs." So when kids are outside playing in the streets riding bikes, I was learning songs. Or if I chose to do that, I picked up my ear really good. So I learned how to dang, I forgot to learn these songs. Let me learn them real quick. So I learned to kind of, use my ear to pick up songs. That's why people say, do you play by ear or do you play by music? So I started out learning how to play by ear, but I was also in the band in school. So that kind of taught me both sides to learn the theory behind music, how to read notes. So I became a Swiss Army knife kind of early, by being in the band, the structure, but also growing up in the church with really no structure, just hey man, figure it out.
I wonder if that has anything to do with the music money mindset. I was looking in on that a little bit, and I wonder if that has any correlation, just because it sounds like at the very beginning, hey, I'm doing this for money, and a good cause.
I never got into music to do for the money. I just thought it was cool. I was a kid. I was blowing all my money. I think my first check, I bought a whole bunch of fake jewelry and Boyz II Men CD or something. It was stupid stuff, But over that time, you got musicians that are 20, 30 years old now still taking their check and just blowing it on just useless things, assets versus liability, that type of thing. So, for me being in the games as a young kid, my dad, he's a big inspiration to me. Not only did he get me started and teach me piano, but he was the first black, business owner in downtown Athens, my little hometown on the downtown, that had a music store, an independent music store. So, he was selling instruments, CDs, tapes at the time, as well as insurance, just all in one spot. So I've always been around the music side of it, the business, putting on blues festivals and church festivals. So that's where the business comes into it. And then by him owning the business, it inspired me to, man, you got to have the right mindset as an entrepreneur. So that's where the whole music money mindset idea came about. It's just experiences over my life that hopefully I can pour back into other people.
Yeah, that's kind of what I was figuring. It doesn't seem like you're doing it all for the money, especially kind of getting some shots of everybody that was at that last event in South by Southwest. Yeah. I mean, it seemed like more people were saying it was like a family thing rather than, oh, he's just a business associate that I know of. It sounds like, some of these people have been to your house. Yeah. Like you can't fake that.
I mean, a lot of them been to my house. Man, you gotta realize, man, like I've come from a lot of humble situations. I have like a great family. We didn't have much growing up, but they made it look easy by providing all our necessities. You know what I'm saying? So I've kind of adopted that theory where, man, this music, it's not easy. When I moved here, I was literally sleeping on the floor. I didn't have a bed, I didn't have anything, and it took the help of other artists to give me like a blanket, be like, hey man, sleep at least on the blanket, give you a little cushion. That was my mattress.
Right.
I didn't have a refrigerator, and my wife today, she bought me like a little styrofoam cooler, a little $10-15 cooler, be like, man, put some ice in it to get you through the day, because my priority was just like, nah, I gotta help artists. There's artists out here that want to record, so I just set up my studio in my room and forget all that other stuff. I'll be here helping them out. So it's kind of been just the lifestyle I've had, man. Just make it look easy as you help people and really not looking for a reward, because, I'm a God-fearing man. I feel like God will bless you with those rewards,
It kind of makes me ask, the Kris KeyZ, the brand, is it a team? Is it you? Is it like a family thing? How does that work?
Man, Kris KeyZ, that's my name. It is a brand, but we're a family. Like you said, everybody knows that. My brand is like a spider web. It reaches out to so many networks and opportunities. So I actually recently started a band called Plush Posse. Posse is just a collaboration of many people. So if you want to be a part of the team, we have Plush Posse, where we do live events. But it's just people where they feel a need in the music industry. If you're a writer, producer, songwriter, engineer, A&R, come be a part of the family, man. We really are a family.
I guess, it kind of leads me to the next part, which would be, obviously, since we have the time, let's bring it up. There was some Plush Posse merch. Is that something that you're providing to everybody, or is that just that event?
Nah, man. Plush Posse is you. Plush Posse is you. We want you to go back to your hometown, your city, and be like, man, I'm a part of a posse. Plush Posse, man. It's an upper echelon, it's acquiring taste. But if you want to be a part of Plush Posse, man, get the merch, get the hoodies, get the t-shirts, holla at me.
How did that all start, Plush Posse?
Plush Posse, man, I started in the music industry, like I said, as a young age. I moved out here to Austin, and I started playing live events. And my first event, there was 2 people there, and I played for free. It was the bartender and the owner. Nobody showed up, but I had the most awesome time. I was like, man, I'm playing on 6th Street. There's people walking by, but throughout those years, you have to learn the business of it, how to get compensated, how to negotiate deals on the back end, how to take care of little things. So I started the band Plush Posse, and we're a group of young musicians. Some of the guys, they're still in college right now, so this is their first go at kind of being a part of the industry. So what I did was start Plush Posse, and I'm teaching these guys basically how to be professionals, not just how to benefit them, but also how to benefit just the whole music industry. We want to make sure our guys are learning the material, showing up on time, being respectful to all the events, and that's how you sustain a career in the music industry. It's not so much about the skill, it's about relationships and being professional. So Plush Posse is a platform, where we showcase our talent, but it's also an area where I can, like I said, just go back and instill those music money mindset principles to where my guys that are now in college, they can be in the game for 20, 30 plus years.
And I know you're talking about revamping Music Money Mindset. I don't know if you have a date on that yet, but is that something that you're going to kind of pass along maybe to a larger web like the internet, or you feel like you're going to kind of keep Music Money Mindset more towards the tutorial or the courses?
Yeah, I mean, right now we threw out a couple protocols last year just to test it out, see where the interest was. So I think right now we're looking to bring in more people. Music Money Mindset is a collaboration. There's a lot of people who have experience in their field of expertise. So we're looking to bring in more people, and then obviously shoot it out to the web and the people that are looking for what we have to offer.
Yeah, that's what's up. I guess obviously South by Southwest was a pretty big event. I mean, at least I was there, and I thought it was pretty huge. I know you've done bigger events, but for me it was pretty big. And looking around at the crowd, I feel like people just could not stop laughing or just having that smile. And then we got that into the interviews, which, at this time in the video, people have already seen the interviews, so they know what I'm talking about. And it's kind of the same thing. I mean, it's nothing but smiles and just kind of genuinely just having like a friendship and like a bond, almost like through music. I guess my question would be, what does it take to do something like that? And it seems like the brand Kris KeyZ has been built over the time to where people not only give you the respect of, hey, like the achievements that you've accomplished, but it's also like like he's done it in a very respectable way, I guess, is what I'm looking for. How do you build something like that?
I mean, I guess it's just natural. I didn't, building a brand that's respectful is I think it takes consistency and just have to do it from the heart. I never tried to get over on anybody. I've always kept in the front of my mind, how can I add value? And I just want to make sure that I'm known as a guy who executes and finish. And I think throughout that process, people will see and pick up on little things and what it takes to execute, because they might go out and try to do it on their own later and be like, oh shit, this is a lot harder. I didn't realize how much work went in behind the scenes. So just by doing it over, almost 20 years now in Austin, or 2009, so not quite 20, but for doing it so many years here in a certain area, the music industry is kind of small. So people see your name over and over, and it's a relationship-based business. You never fill out an application to get in a band. It's always, who do you know? Hey, what do you heard about this guy? So for being in the industry for so long, and to hear people say that randomly, that they didn't get together and huddle up and be like, hey, what are we going to say? People were speaking from their heart. It really means a lot. And it's just, I had no idea myself that people thought of me the way that they thought of. So it's really refreshing to even hear that, because I'm just doing my best to add value to their life, however that may be, whether it's live music in the studio, writing songs, hooking them up with a couple relationships, whatever it is. So that's pretty dope.
And I guess I should have asked this question earlier, and that's on me. But man, what do you all do? I mean, you do a lot of events. You obviously have made huge songs. What's the arsenal look like?
Man, I'm narrowing it down a little bit now, but I'm the glue. I can't really pinpoint exactly what it is I do sometimes. I'm just like, I look for a need. Like, what's missing? Okay, this is missing. Let me try to add and see if I can add value to that. But I mean, it's crazy that I've been on the billboards. I have charts on the billboards. I have #1 records, multiple top records on iTunes charts. So international placements, movies, films. So I've done a little bit of everything. So when people don't talk about that and they start talking about, man, Kris is a cool guy, he's about family, like it's kind of like, okay, my need really isn't just on my talent level. I feel like there's a lot of people out there that, not saying they're hurting, but they need more than just talent. You see what I'm saying? And I think that's what I offer. I have a lot of artists sometimes that, we make great songs, but you know why that's a great song? Because I'll sit there and listen to them talk about their relationship. They just broke up with their guy for an hour, you know, and that's important to them. And a lot of other producers or studios, maybe they're just like, hey man, let's just get to the song. We're on the clock, you know. And sometimes that's what makes music. That's what gets the best out of them. And if I can bring the best out of them, hopefully somebody hears the song and then they can relate to it. And then now they can, you know, express themselves. Yeah, it's full circle.
I guess, you know, what I actually really enjoy is I do these interviews for people. And sometimes I can kind of tell the disconnect between, you know, what they are behind closed doors when I talk to them versus who they are when they talk to certain people. And even to the point where, you know, you get down to the part here and they're almost a completely different person on camera. I've noticed that you've been the exact same person all the way through. Where do you think that comes from?
Man, I think when I was a kid, and this is probably gonna take it left field a little bit.
Take it left field.
My dad, my pops, God rest his soul, we watched a lot of karate movies growing up. It was like every weekend we'll go to Blockbuster, get the VHS back in the day and watch karate movies, and he would just be like, all right, Grasshopper, this is it, or something like, be like water, you know. And he'll say like little funny things at like the karate movies, and I just kind of in the back of my head just like, man, just be like water. Water kind of flows with everything, you know. I try not to get too high, I try not to get too low, you know. So I'm, you know, you'll never know if I'm too excited, you'll never know if I'm too down. I don't know if that's a good thing or not, but I'm cool with the flow.
That leads me perfectly into one of my questions I have here is, what is the low? Or give me an example of one of the lows and give me an example of one of the highs and when you caught yourself there.
All right, so I give you two lows first. So my very first low in the music industry is when I got my first #1 record on iTunes. I think it was an international record for, you know, a big star over there, and I got news that we hit #1, and literally like I shot up a big spike, like, oh, this is crazy. And then like it was weird because by like the end of the second night I was depressed, you know, and I didn't know why I was depressed, and that led to like confusion, you know. It was almost like I didn't get the feeling I thought I would get when you get that #1 record, you know. It was almost like maybe I thought the whole world or something was gonna shower down on me or something, and you know, it was almost like nobody knew here because it was an international record. So it was almost like the celebration. It wasn't like a big celebration. Nobody really cared, I guess, here. That's the way it felt, and that kind of put me in a spiral. Like, bro, like I had to refocus on my new desire for music. And that was the first time, and I think over years had passed, I continued doing music, which led to my second downfall in music, which I quit music. I was like, man, forget this. This shit is like, I'm done. I'm frustrated. Like you said, I try to help people, and just like that #1 record, I thought, oh man, all these people I helped with, you know, maybe I'm a little bit selfish, but I'm human. I thought these same people would come back and throw me a party. I sat there and listened to you guys for an hour, you know, talking about your accomplishments or talking about your pain, and it's like I found myself helping hundreds of artists over the years, and now here I am, lonely, like nobody's coming to help me. And it was like, man, you know what? It kind of made me get pissed off at music. I was like, this is too much. You know, I'm done with live music. And even on the live scene, I was like, man, I've spent hours, you know, I'll stay up for, you know, days at a time, literally, like not sleep, spend 12, 14 hours straight working on piano so I could bring more value to like live shows or performances, churches, events and stuff like that. And it was like, you know, COVID had hit. And I remember specifically, like, we're talking about South by Southwest now. COVID hit on the 14th of March. And that was the day we had our first show for South by. And it was supposed to be a lit South by. Like, you got to realize South by was a lot bigger than it was now. It's kind of getting back now. But yeah, so the whole music, we got an email, no performances. We're shutting everything down. And from that point, that was our livelihood. That's my income. And like I said, now it's like, okay, I've helped so many people and organizations. Like, you guys clearly can see we need help out here. And it felt very limited. And I quit music and I went back into sales. What I've done before is just what I was used to. I was like, I'll just go talk to people. So I went to sell solar. That's when I got into solar. It was I did that for like maybe a year or 6 months of just selling solar, because I said forget music. I was done with music. That was probably my lowest point, because I was literally gave up and quit something that I've known my whole life. And I think right now, with all of that being said, it's good to go through something and quit something, because you really get to find out what's inside of you. And I found out that music is still my passion. Even with all the pain, all the hurt that I've been through, I just wasn't channeling it through the right directions. And by being away, I got a chance to spend time with myself, reevaluate, who I am, my brand. And just like I said, when people say, man, Kris is really family, it's like, man, I can't hide from that. That's who I am. I don't force that. So let me get back out here, strap the boots back on, and just find a way to channel some of these disappointments and go back out here and create music at a high level. And I think this is becoming my proudest moment now. Despite all of the Billboard accomplishments and the personal awards that I've got, I have proclamations with the mayor here and stuff like that. Like, getting back off my feet and learning how to heal myself, I think that's going to be my proudest accomplishment in my career thus far, because I know what I can do to help people when I'm at 100% and I'm healthy. So we're going to see.
Now that we kind of talked about the lows and the highs, and you're talking about how now this is kind of one of your highs, you kind of overcoming the factor of quitting and kind of being done with everything. I mean, what's your game plan now?
Man, my game plan now is to be the best version of myself. It sounds cliche, but man, every day we wake up with an opportunity, and we could put on paper what we want that opportunity to be, but sometimes them days, that opportunity doesn't come on that day. So my focus now is to be conscious of the opportunities that come to me each day. And if I take advantage of those opportunities, the opportunities I write on paper, they're probably going to come a little faster. Earlier this year, one of my key things is surround myself with people better than me. I was able to run a marathon, not because I wanted to run one, but I ran a marathon because I was hanging around people that presented an opportunity one day. And I was like, I didn't write this down today, but this is a great opportunity for me, especially going through trying to get back on my feet. I was like, man, this is an opportunity that's going to take some personal challenges. Like, I got to make a personal commitment to do this marathon. And man, and believe it or not, running this marathon has been probably the best thing I've done this year, because now it's opened me up to, like, I'm just going to go for it. And going for it, hopefully people can see, man, that I'm being the best version of myself. And it's not for me, it's really for God. I want to be a good example for Christ. I want people to look at me different when they see me, be like, man, there's something different about him. And it's nothing to brag about. It's nothing special. It's just, man, I'm a God-fearing man. I try to follow the principles that he's given us to us every day. And through that, I think he'll bless us, man.
Yeah, a conversation that we've had is, obviously you've done a lot of things in the music career, but you haven't really put a social media behind it all.
Right.
And I think that's kind of like a big project that I'm working on now, is kind of getting everybody caught up with what's going on, so that you can start making this switch, because you were kind of like a household name rather than, when you look at some of the people in the music industry, you're doing the same things, if not more.
Right.
And you're noticing that now that exposure is going to have a big part in your plan. And I'm kind of glad to see you're kind of starting to show face even on this interview.
This is rare for me to show face. Like I said, I've been doing this for a minute. My whole game was to be the guy behind the scenes. Let me just be behind the scenes. But over time things have changed. Producers now are there's Timbaland. He was kind of behind the scenes, but now he has his own brand where it creates his own products, and I think people want to see that. So I'm the guy for the people, man. If the people want it, I'll give it to them. If y'all want to see my face and this big old nose, hey, man, I'll show you my big old nose, man.
Well, I mean, it kind of brings me back to the beginning when you were talking about you chose the piano because you didn't want to be the guy singing.
I didn't want to be the guy, man. I didn't want to be the guy.
So maybe now you can choose that singing path. Yeah, little bit.
Sheesh, give me some time, one thing at a time, man. But look, listen, I'm going for it this year, so. I actually did sing a song a couple weeks ago. It was in church though. But hey man, it feels good when you just overcome your fears. And just like a marathon, I tell people, man, look, I ran a marathon with 20,000 people. We all started together at the starting line, but eventually you're gonna have to find your own lane. You're gonna have to find your own pace. And when you do that, you're probably gonna run a better race. When you get in somebody else's lane, that's when it starts to be a competition. And man, thank God I'm in the music industry where there's really no competition, man. Every day somebody creates a record, a great song, so.
If you could wake up tomorrow with any accomplishment done, a feat, something on the to-do list, the bucket list done in music, what would that be?
Man, it would be a yacht. Not just playing. Man, honestly, man, my goal is it's the same when I started, man. My goal is to create timeless music. I think when you create timeless music, you can spark an emotion through somebody. I can remember when people go through a breakup, they're pulling out their favorite breakup or love song. It kind of gets them through that emotion. Like, people usually have a favorite song. Like, where were you? What were you wearing when you heard this song? So for me, if I can, create that moment for somebody, that's it right there. Timeless music. I want their kids. I want them to grow up and be like, man, I remember this record when I was your age, and it's 20, 30 years later. I want music to sustain a lifetime.
Yeah, I mean, time is the most valuable asset we all have, right?
That's it, And to get them royalties, though.
So we can get the yacht.
Yeah, so we can get the yacht. Yeah.
No, I think you've done a lot of huge things behind the scenes. Maybe it's time to kind of have a spotlight for a little bit. And I see it as a way of not only kind of put you in a spotlight, but it's time to grow the web out. I mean, you like you said, your Kris KeyZ is the web. So it's time to grow that web a little bit. Let more people in on the story. See what's going on.
That's it, man. I'm all about love. That's my story, man. It's love. That's one of the greatest things we all have, and it's a secret weapon. It's like a knife. You can use it however you choose to use it, and I'm choosing to use my love through music. Something you could think about is just think about how long you want to be in the game. For me, I got in the game in my early 20s, so I knew I wanted to be in the game when I was like 70, like a Quincy Jones or somebody like that. So to me, learning an instrument would be beneficial. You don't have to learn everything, but if you can learn an instrument, like I learned piano, and that's kind of like a basis for everything. That way you'll start to hear what other sounds can do. So when you bring other session musicians in or collaborate with other people, you can kind of have an idea, know when to step in, when to step out, when to add certain things. And that's really the secret sauce to being a great music producer. It's not about how much you can add, it's about knowing when to add. But just the mindset thing is man, just stay humble, stay consistent, network, know how to treat people good, because like I said, for this event that I've had, it's been 10 years before I called on some people or revisited full circle, and the energy is still the same because I make sure I treated them well, and sometimes I've even took a loss to make sure I kept that relationship working, and sometimes that's the name of the game,
Kind of goes back to adding value, kind of like you were saying. Kind of seems like it's a lot of just going back to full circle.
Yeah, adding value, man. That's it.
So this is left field, as you would say, but I need to know what's up with the basketball. How does How did the basketball play a part in this? What was the basketball experience like? You feel like it has any context to what you have going on in life now? Or you feel like it's just something like a past memory that you kind of lived?
Yeah, so growing up, man, I played basketball, so I was like, not very recruited out of high school, but I was like, I won like the state dunk contest or something like that. So basketball made me learn how to probably become a better entrepreneur. Since I wasn't highly recruited coming from a small town, I had to start doing my own research, learning where the camps were, the AAU. Like, I didn't get into summer league basketball till my senior year. And within that year, I became like a top 40 recruit. It's kind of like right now, just the first time I got visibility exposure, it kind of put me on the map a little bit. So that was number one, how basketball helped me. It was like, all right, man, if somebody's not coming to see you, figure it out, go see them. And then through that too, basketball, I've had some good men, some good coaches to come into my life. Still today, my college team, we were number one in the nation. We're still family. We still meet up like 2 or 3 times a year just to hang out, something like that. There's Hall of Famers on the team. And it just, to me, I went from like a not bad, but decent basketball team where I was the star player by myself, say high school. And then when I go to college, everybody's a star player. So I learned how to be a team player. That's the big thing where I learned too. It's like, all right, everybody can give you 30, but man, you're a better defensive player. And that's what I was. I was like, you know what? Our team needs defense. So I became the defensive stopper and defensive player of the year for the conference and everything like that. So just finding your spots, learn how to be a team player.
And I hate to cut you off, but it makes me think, when all the All-Stars were coming together, sometimes I could imagine a lot of ego coming with that.
Possibly.
Right? So I guess, at that time, you saw what was best for the team.
Right.
It comes full circle again. You're come back to adding value.
Yeah.
So whenever you could have took and done the 30 points yourself, you took it upon yourself to obviously score points, but still, I'll take the hardest player that they got for the team.
And he
adding
scores
value.
no points.
Right.
Yeah.
So,
30 points and a loss, or you want to have 12 points and go to number one and be the best team in the nation.
I think a lot of people say, and obviously it's obvious, which one would you rather choose? Of course, right? A lot of people say that.
They say that till they're in that situation.
But a lot of people take the action of, no, I want to score 30.
Yeah.
This is about me.
Yeah. And if you want to be you got boxing out there, you got tennis, you got combat sports, and and to me, those are the sports you need to have an ego in. Maybe even some sports, maybe like football, wide receivers, you hear, a lot of those guys need an ego because it's a one-on-one matchup. But team basketball, music, we're passing the ball around. Hey man, I'll lay the drums. Hey, I'll lay the keys. You have to look for, I can finish the whole track, but you add value to it too. So let me step back and give you an opportunity. And that's what it is, man. Just giving other people opportunity and, man, finding beauty in it,
If you woke up tomorrow, obviously you got the yacht, obviously you got the achievements, what would you do then? What would Kris KeyZ do then if you've knocked every, check off his box?
Man, I feel like I'm in that yacht life now, because the yacht is just materialistic stuff. It's the same thing, but like, man, if I got a car, well, I'll just drive to the studio, instead of catching a bus. To me, it'll be the same lifestyle. I would take time to spend time to thank God for the day. I'll still call my family, my friends, the homies, chit chat with them, and man, I'll still be creating music. Nothing's gonna change. Still be creating every day. That's what we was made to do, to create.
Kris KeyZ doesn't change a lot.
Nah,
that's
water.
Something that I got to put in there and make sure that people understand is that, man, this is more or less kind of turned into a documentary, right? Almost.